Hi everyone, welcome to Monday Lunchtime Flow. So as always with these classes, if you are working with any injuries or anything in particular, please take it easy, and if anything hurts or doesn't feel quite right, please back off. These classes are donation based, so if you are able to and you would like to, there is a PayPal link at the side of the screen. There's also a link to a playlist if you would like that. We are going to be focusing on the back line of the body today. So today, we're going to start in a seated position. So finding a comfortable seat, legs straight out in front of you, and try and have the toes flex back towards you. You might find as you do this, the heels lift slightly off the floor. And make sure you're seated right on both seat bones here. Try not to round through the shoulders or the lower back, so it's often a lot more comfortable to just sit rounded, leaning forward slightly, but try and sit up as tall as you can, the spine is straight, maybe even close down the eyes here, and just really start to drop into your breath. So in and out through the nose. And just starting to deepen, lengthen each inhalation and each exhalation. For some of you, this will be quite a challenge, just staying upright in the spine with the legs out long. For others of you, you won't feel so much here, but just stay with whatever you have going on. Notice if there's tension from the hamstrings or the lower back, and see if that tension is creeping anywhere else in your body. So checking in with the shoulders, keep them nice and relaxed. The forehead, the jaw. Just allowing your mind to let go of anything that might have been going on this morning, at the weekend, or thoughts, that busy mind that we so often have going on. And really dropping into the present moment, working towards that mind-body connection. If your eyes are closed, gently open them back up, coming back into the room. We're going to bend the left knee, place the sole of that left foot to the inside of the right thigh. You might need to shuffle around here and make sure you're equally seated on both seat bones. Sit up nice and tall. Again, if you're feeling tight this morning, or this afternoon I should say now, and you can feel a stretch already, just stay where you are. If you want to take it further, think about lifting, so maybe even reach up with the arms. Reach forward with the chest coming to a forward fold. So your hands might rest on your shin, your ankle, all the way around your foot. You choose how far into this stretch you want to go. But think about length through the spine today, so reaching the center of the chest forwards. Noticing where in your body you're feeling this one. Is it the top of the leg, the bottom of the leg, maybe even the sole of the foot if you're flexing that foot backwards. And so even so today, even that today is a little bit more of a slow flow practice, it doesn't mean it's going to be necessarily easier. We're going to hold poses for a little bit longer, allowing time to really melt that tension away. But also in some of the poses, we will also start building some strength. If you're folding forwards, nice and slowly lift all the way back up. Keeping this left knee bent, you're going to step that left foot to the outside of the right thigh. Again, find a nice position, sitting up tall. Hook your right elbow over the left thigh, and we're going to twist towards the left. So keep in your mind that the spine wants to be straight, so vertical up, but you're just twisting the chest, the gaze round. The left fingertips can lightly brush the floor behind you. Pull that left knee in towards you, and you might feel a stretch through that left glute as well here. And let's release that side. Take a counter twist just for a breath. Place both hands towards the right side. And then let's swap legs. So left leg straight out in front of you, bend that right knee. Again, taking a moment to sit up nice and tall. If you feel something here, feel free to stay. Otherwise, we're reaching up, lifting, lengthening, fold forwards. Let your hands rest wherever they comfortably reach. Not trying to force yourself into a forward fold here. So don't worry about it if the hands are towards the knee or the shin. Rather think about lengthening the spine and trying to close the gap up at your hip flexor. So it's quite easy to round and bring your forehead down, but rather think maybe even there's like a sponge right in that left hip flexor and you're trying to squeeze the liquid out of it. If you are folding forwards, nice and slowly lift back up. And we'll go for that twist. So right foot comes to the outside of the left thigh. Left elbow hooks around that right knee, sit up nice and tall. Twist towards your right. Right fingertips come onto the floor behind you. Try not to lean into those fingertips. They're just there to guide you into this twist a little bit more. Think about reaching the crown of the head up as you twist. And as we're in this full body breath, we're working with, see if you can feel your stomach as it expands. Maybe you feel it pressing on your upper thigh. And we'll release this side, coming all the way around to that counter twist, just for a breath. And releasing, unraveling the legs, making your way onto all fours. We're going to take a little toe stand from here. So tuck the toes under, sit the seat bones back on the heels, and we're in our toe stand. You might need to use your hands to shuffle the baby toes into this one. I know for me, my baby toe doesn't tend to get involved unless I give it a little bit of help. Now, this can be quite a strong pose. And if straight away you're feeling like there is a lot going on, you might want to grab a yoga block if you have one. If you don't, you can use a cushion or a blanket and just place it in between your heels and your seat bones. We are going to be here for about 1 more minute. So try not to, if you are feeling this really, really intensely, try not to focus on those sensations. Try and focus on your breath. So really breathing in and out through the nose. And as you inhale, maybe you feel as though your body feels a little bit lighter, like almost floating on your heels. And as you exhale, you release, you let go of anything that you don't need right now. Using this wonderful Ujjayi breath to help in poses, especially when they get a little bit more challenging. Staying for a little bit longer, but if at any point you do need a break, feel free to lean forwards onto the hands and take a rest. And come back and join us, or just skip the rest out. It's totally up to you. This is your practice. Getting right into the deep fascia, connective tissue on the soles of the feet, not somewhere that we often get to stretch. And we're going to release this pose, come back onto hands and knees, and just tap out the tops of the feet. So almost like a little drum roll, just releasing that out. Maybe a few rotations with the ankles. From here, we're going to just start to wake up the upper body a little bit. So walk the hands forwards, drop the forehead down onto the mat, coming into your puppy dog pose. If you want more here, you can bring your chin to the mat, but that sometimes feels like there's a bit of compression at the back of your neck. So you choose which variation you go for. Try not to stick your bum right out up into the air, rather have a gentle tuck of the tailbone, pull the core muscles in and up. And you should be feeling this right in between the shoulder blades, maybe even on the top of the shoulder. And let's lift our way back up to our tabletop position. Now that our feet probably, hopefully feel a little bit better, we're going to reach the right leg back out behind us so the ball of that right foot is on the floor. Take a couple of rocks backwards and forwards. So your toes might still be feeling the after effects of that toe stand. And take a couple more rocks and then maybe pause rocking back. So really pressing the hands down and forwards. And you should feel this quite a lot through the calf muscle on that right leg. From here, you're going to release this and come straight into a half pigeon pose. So bringing that right knee towards the right wrist, right foot towards the left wrist. You might need to shuffle that left knee back. Start by sitting up nice and tall. Really find a foundation here. If your right hip is miles away from the floor, grab a cushion, a blanket, something to place in between the hip and the seat bone. If you want to take it further, maybe walk down onto your forearms. Again, you can choose to stay here. Maybe you walk all the way down with the hands so the forehead rests on the floor. Not taking it so far that anything is really, really uncomfortable or there's pain in the pose. Just taking it to a space where you're feeling a stretch, you're feeling the tension build and then release, but you don't want to go anywhere that stops you from being able to breathe deeply. And as we stay here for a few breaths, it can be a pose where face down, that thoughts start popping back up into our mind. In yoga, we call it our monkey mind, and that can start chattering back in, making sound. And a great way to overcome this is by gently reminding yourself to focus on the simplicity of breathing in and out. And it doesn't matter if you have to keep coming back to that, keep reminding yourself back to your breath. It's just that noticing of when your mind starts chattering and bringing it back to your breath. So you can keep doing that over and over, and that's absolutely fine. If you are folding forwards, lift yourself back up onto your hands. And we're going to release this leg. So maybe walking that left knee in, place the right knee back on the floor. And before we go on to the other side, we're going to take a few rounds of cat and cow. So inhale to drop the stomach, arch the back, lift the gaze, lift the tailbone. Exhale as you tuck the tailbone, press the earth away, chin comes towards the chest. Let's go again. Inhale, drop the tummy, arch the back, lift the gaze up. Exhale to tuck the tailbone, round the spine, press the earth away. Take a few more rounds like this. And feel free if there's any other movement here that your body needs, maybe some figure of eights, maybe some twists or some turns. Don't feel like you always have to follow the exact same pattern or exactly what I'm telling you to do. Completing whatever movement you are on, then bring yourself to stillness. Reach your left leg back this time, ball of that left foot onto the floor. Again, start with this rocking backwards and forwards, so feeling the back of the leg, but also the wrists and the shoulders a little bit. Breathing deeply as you move. Either stay with the rocking or maybe push back into the pose and really light up the calf muscle, maybe the sole of the foot again. And we're going to come into half pigeon on the left. So maybe walking that right knee back, left knee comes towards left wrist, left foot towards the right wrist. And there's no rush here, we're taking it nice and gently today. Again, if your left hip this time is far off the floor, you might want to just cushion it with something. You can choose if staying upright, you might already have quite a strong sensation. You might walk onto your forearms or all the way down onto your forehead. Always listening to your body, and don't be surprised if on one side you felt really open and on the other you don't. That's very normal. And our target area in this pose is our left glute, but you might also get it in the left hamstring, the left thigh. Checking in that you're not holding on to tension in the hands, the shoulders, the forehead, or the jaw here. And if you're folding forwards, we're going to lift back up and make our way back into a tabletop pose. But this time, We're going to step into our malasana squat. So stepping 1 foot forwards at a time, bringing your feet mat width apart, toes are slightly pointing out. Let your hips sink nice and low here. If your heels are lifted, it might feel nice to place something underneath the heels because we are going to be here for a little while. Make sure you're pressing down with the outer edges of the feet. And again, remember at the start of the class, we spoke about rounding. So often when you round, you sink into a pose, it becomes a lot easier and more passive. Think about lifting the crown of the head. Elbows come to the insides of the knees, hands at heart center. So imagine someone's lifting a string out of the crown of your head. So especially if you're a little bit more open in the hips, you can sink down quite easily here. Think about lifting slightly. Options to stay where you are, or reach your left hand down towards the floor, open up through the right. Gaze can follow that right hand. If this feels great, stay here. Maybe go for a bind by reaching behind you and grabbing hold of the left fingers. If you're bound, letting it go. Everyone meeting back in center, hands come together at heart center. Let's do that on the other side. So right fingertips reach down towards the floor, left arm reaches up, maybe your gaze reaches the left hand. Remember that engagement, the outer edges of the feet are pressing down. You can choose if you stay here or maybe wrap that arm round, go for your bind. Don't worry if you can't reach your hands. It does require quite a bit of open, quite a bit of flexibility. If you are bound, gently let go, coming back to center. Let's take 2 more deep breaths here. Last breath in. And as you exhale, place hands to the mat, keeping the feet and hands where they are. Lift the hips, coming to a forward fold. You can choose if you keep the feet where they are or maybe bring them parallel to each other. Let's take a ragdoll, opposite hand to opposite elbow, really let the head hang heavy. So you might keep quite a generous bend in the knees here if that feels good, or if the hamstrings are still a little bit tight, or you might work on straightening the legs. Maybe a sway, hamstrings are still a little bit tight, or you might work on straightening the legs. Maybe a sway feels good, maybe a little bounce up and down. Maybe it's just stillness that you need right now. Let's take an inhale through the nose together. And as you exhale, open the mouth and just sigh it out. Do that once more. Big breath in through the nose. Release the hands. On an inhale, keeping knees nice and soft, slowly, slowly roll up to standing. Great work, everyone. Make your way up standing. Get rid of anything that you don't need, any shakes, any little twists or shrugs. I'm going to lift that right knee up. So really grounding down with the left leg. You can have your hands on your hips or alongside your body, totally up to you. Trying to keep the hips level. So often when we start lifting one side, we tilt, but maybe hands on hips helps you keep everything completely central. So if you lift that knee a little bit higher. Moving as slowly as you can. We're going to kick back into our warrior 3, but moving with control, keeping that leg bent. And then once you start to reach the pose, straightening the right leg back behind you. Flex the right toes towards you and squeeze your shoulder blades together here. Feel free to keep a micro bend in that left knee if you need it. And then notice what's happening to your breath as we've started balancing. Bring your hands together at heart center. Left hand drops down. Maybe you have a block or a book or something that's going to make this pose a little bit more accessible if you need it. Right hand lifts up. Find your balance. Keep this lifted leg engaged here. It's going to help you with your balance. If you want more, maybe look up towards your right fingers. Maybe you hover that left hand off the floor, coming into your suspended half moon. Keep your right leg lifted as you place both hands down towards the floor, maybe onto a block, a book, anything you might have. You can either be on your fingertips, flat palms, or you can grab your standing ankle with one or both hands. Make sure you're breathing here. See if you can lift your right leg a little bit higher. And let's slowly let that right foot come down next to the left. This time in our forward fold, we're going to interlace our fingers at our sacrum, reach our fist towards our head, the top of our mat. Really let the head hang heavy, almost have the chin come towards the chest. Gently let go of the hands, don't let them ping apart. And on an inhale, we'll roll up to standing. Let's do that on the other side. So we're going to bend the left knee. Maybe hands come to hips. If that doesn't feel right, you don't have to do it. But try and keep the hips level, so it's really tempting to start really shifting that left hip up. Crown of the head reaches tall. Can you lift your knee a little bit higher here? Again, moving nice and slowly, keeping the knee bent for the transition. You're going to start to kick the left leg back as the chest comes forward. Start to straighten the left leg once you get there, warrior three. Reaching fingertips back. Again, feel free to bend that standing knee if you need to. And if you're feeling quite wobbly today, like I am, see if you can just focus your gaze on one spot and not let your eyes move. Hands come together at heart center. Right hand drops down this time, maybe to a block, maybe to a book, maybe straight to the floor. We're opening up into our half move. And try not to take it too seriously. If you do fall and wobble, just come back into the pose when you're ready. Remember to keep this lifted leg nice and engaged. Choose if you keep exactly where you are, which is what I'm doing today. Maybe you bring your gaze up towards your left hand. Maybe you hover the right hand off the floor. Keep squeezing the core muscles in towards the spine. Moving slowly, place both hands down towards the floor, either onto the floor, onto your block, books, whatever you might have. Again, you can be on fingertips, flat palms. Maybe you grab your standing ankle with one or both hands. Choose where you take this pose. Keep lifting that left leg with that upward energy you're sending up towards those left toes. Allow your Ujjayi breath to just power you here. One more big breath in. And as you exhale, place both feet on the floor. We're taking another forward fold, but this time interlace your fingers behind your head. So almost a little cradle for the head. You can take a bend in the knees if that feels good. And swaying might feel nice. The weight of the hands just allowing the neck to stretch a little bit more here. Release the hands. From here, we're going to take a halfway lift. So bring your hands to your shins, crown of the head reaches up. Exhale, fold. Let's do that again. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step it back into your high plank. So we haven't been on our hands much today, and we won't be for too long. Don't worry if you've got sore wrists or your focus is not on that today. Just breathe here. Pull the tummy in. Reach the chest forwards as you reach the heels back. Take a big breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bring your feet to touch behind you and lift your right leg up. Bring your knee to your nose. Hold it here. Press the earth away. Keep that knee close to you for 3, for 2, for 1. Kick that leg back out. Right knee towards your left elbow. Listen carefully. Straighten your right leg out. Drop onto the ball, the sole of that left foot, and then nice and slowly sink your hips all the way down. So you're seated with your legs pretty open, so you're in a bit of a straddle position. I'm going to give you a few options from here. You can choose If you stay upright, this might feel intense in the hips and the groin, or you reach your left fingertips either to your shin or to your big toe if that's accessible, and then you reach your right hand up and over. This can be quite intense, so don't worry if you're up high and looking for length rather than bending. Just keep thinking about rooting both seat bones down and the chest reaching towards the ceiling. Noticing as we stay here for a little bit longer what's going on. Are you able to sink into it a little bit more? Do you need to back off a little bit? Having no judgment with whatever is happening and just going with what your body is telling you. Learning to listen to your body. From here, we're going to windmill both arms back to the top of the mat. Moving slowly, you're going to tuck back onto the ball of that left foot. Swing your right leg back towards the sky. Bring your knee towards your nose and then step that right foot in between your hands. Stay on the ball of that back foot as we rise up into our crescent lunge. Take a moment here. And really settle in. We're going to be holding this one for a little bit longer. If you want to deepen the sensation, maybe swivel that back foot further back. So lengthening the distance between the feet. Some of you might feel wobbly or shaky here. If that's you, you might just walk your right foot further towards the right. Fingertips are reaching up towards the ceiling and spark the fingers alive. See if you can lift that back heel a little bit higher. And as we just stay here, focusing on our breath, maybe a bit of heat is building, warming up. And that's one of the pillars of our yoga practice is tapas, it's heat. And as we build heat in our body, as we hold these poses, these stretches, that's when all the yoga really starts happening. Staying with poses a little bit longer than you think you want to or you think you can. So there's that moment when you think, oh, I just want to give up on this practice today, I'm not strong enough, I'm not capable of doing this. And that's exactly when you go into the pose a little bit deeper. We're going to take an open twist, so keeping the legs and the hips exactly where they are. Start to reach that right arm back, left arm forwards. Maybe gaze back towards that right hand. Keep squeezing your left glute. Come back to center, crescent lunge. 2 more breaths here. Last inhale. And as you exhale, place both hands to the mat. Step back into a high plank. If you are a keen yogi and want to go for your chaturanga, please do. Otherwise, we skip it and go straight into downward facing dog. You might need to shake off the legs a little bit. Take a big sigh if that feels good. And let's lift the left leg up this time. Bring your knee to your nose. So really think about shifting all your weight forwards. You're pulling the left knee in towards your chest. Maybe towards your nose if you tuck your head down. Breathe as you press the earth away a little bit more. Kick that foot back. Let's go left knee, right elbow. We're doing that same thing. Start to straighten the left leg out towards the right. As you swivel over, lift that right hand, sink both hips down. You might get a little bit of a hip click like I just did. Can't really see me this way around, but we're doing the exact same thing on this side. So start by sitting up nice and tall. Legs are wide. And then choose if sitting up works, if that's enough for you, stay there. Otherwise, reaching that right hand towards the shin, ankle, the big toe. And reach that left arm up, open through the chest, and then reaching over. What you don't want to do here is round forward. You want to reach the chest up towards the ceiling. Not worrying if you're not coming into it too much. Rather go on how much of a sensation you have in your body. Notice your breath here. And as we stay here, what's happening? Is something opening? Are you more able to get into the pose? Or is the opposite happening? And from here, we're going to windmill both hands towards the floor. Tuck that back toes, those back toes under, kick it back into your three-legged down dog so that left leg stays lifted. Bring your knee to your nose. Crescent lunge. Step your foot in between your hands. Rise up tall. So remember, we're going to be here for a little bit longer than we normally hold our lunge. So notice what you need to do. Do you need a wider stance, a longer stance? And once you've found your position and you feel quite good here, reach the fingers up. Keep them reaching, spread wide. Maybe bring your awareness to the front foot and think about the front foot, the toes on that foot. Are they clinging onto the mat here? And if they are, maybe for a moment, see if you can lift them up, spread them wide, and then place them back down. It's a great exercise to do when you're just standing, really getting that space in between the toes. I'm more doing it now just to keep your mind focused on something. So as we start building that heat, reaching that point where we're not sure if we can continue, we bend the front knee more. We go into our practice. Use your breath to power you here. Let's go for that open twist. Left hand reaches back, right arm reaches forwards. Choose what you do with your gaze. Maybe it stays forwards. Maybe it goes all the way back towards your left hand. Keep squeezing your right glute. And then remember to breathe. Often when we twist, our breathing gets a little bit more challenging. Come back to center, crescent lunge, our final 2 breaths in. And release your hands down to the floor, stepping back into your high plank. Again, if you're ready for a chaturanga, you want to use those arm muscles, go ahead. Otherwise, downward facing dog. Again, take any movement here if you feel like you need to pedal out the feet a little bit, sway the hips. Maybe even take a big sigh. And walk your feet to your hands. Let's take a halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Bring your big toes together to touch. Bend your knees for a chair pose. Last little bit on our legs today. Sink your hips nice and low. Breathing deeply. From here, we're going to slowly start to lower our hips all the way down onto the mat so the seat bones touch the floor. Boat pose. You can have your hands underneath the thighs or open them out. Toes can be flexed or pointed. Try and keep the shoulders relaxed, the face relaxed. We're going to go through that a little bit once more. So bring your feet to the floor. Try without touching the floor. See what happens. Lift into your chair pose. It's harder than it looks, so don't worry if you got a little bit stuck. Wherever you are, make your way to a chair pose any way you can. We're going to lower our hips once more. Try and keep the hands lifted as you do this. Seat bones come all the way to the floor. You're back in your boat pose. Options to have the hands on the thighs, arms open. Maybe you grab hold of your big toes and straighten the legs. It's very common to roll onto your back here, so I'm always worried I'm going to do that because I'm concentrating on speaking. If your legs are straight, you might be a bit wobbly, a bit shaky. Keep reaching the chest up and forwards wherever you are. If you're holding onto your toes, maybe let go of them. Keep the legs straight. And release, let the feet face flat on the floor. Bring your palms to the top of your knees and let your forehead just rest on the back of the palms. So you really want to find that round, the rounding in the spine that we've been avoiding the whole class. We're just going to come into it. It's not all bad. Just allowing the whole spine to round. You might feel it in the back of the neck. You might feel it in the lower back. And lifting yourself back up. Feet are flat to the floor. Hip width apart this time, so they may have been together. Make sure you've got a little bit of space behind you because we're going to come backwards. So hands out in front. Slowly as you can, keeping your feet connected to the floor, lower down. Just before your head touches the floor, you're going to lift back up. So really using your breath to help you stay in control. We're going to do that 2 more times. So slowly lower down. You might find a spot halfway down where you feel like you just want to sink into it. And see if you can really squeeze the core to keep in control. Just before the head touches the floor, lifting back up. Last one. This time lowering down. Keep it slow, keep it steady. And again, just before the head touches, slowly, slowly lift back up. This one doesn't get any easier to talk while I do it. Last one, lower down. This time we're going to lower down and we are going to stay lying on our backs. Feet flat to the floor, hip width apart. So make sure you can just brush your heels with your fingertips. Press the feet down and lift the hips up in our bridge pose. So we spent quite a lot of time today stretching our hamstrings, our glutes, our lower back. But it's also important to remember to engage those muscles. So what we're doing here is we're strengthening. So as we spend a lot of time in yoga, and a lot of people tend to worry about their hamstring flexibility, you also need to focus on strengthening these really important muscles. So pressing the feet down to lift the hips up. You can choose, if you interlace the fingers underneath, you walk shoulder blades towards each other. You can have arms, the upper arm bones just pressing down. Or you can even reach the arms up overhead, your choice. Wherever you are, challenge yourself just for these final few moments of active practice to breathe even louder. How loud can you make your Ujjayi breath here? If you're practicing on your own, then it's only you that can hear it, but see how loud you can breathe. If you do have someone next to you, see if you can breathe louder than them. And nice and slowly roll your spine back along the mat. Bring the soles of the feet together to touch. Let the knees open wide. You might have just heard my hip click. Quite late in the practice for that to come out. Must have been a deep one. You can have your arms overhead like I do, or maybe bring one hand to heart, one hand to stomach. How does your body feel now? Bring your knees together to touch. You might want to guide your knees together with your hands and hug them in towards your chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. It might feel nice to rock side to side, massaging the lower back. Happy baby. Grab the outer edges of the feet. Pull the knees in towards the armpits. So we're trying to keep both shoulders on the mat here. It doesn't matter too much if your tailbone lifts up off the floor. That will depend on your hip joints, your hip sockets. Again, you might want to rock, sway, you might want to stay in stillness. If you do roll a little bit from side to side, careful that you don't go all the way over and get a little bit stuck. That does tend to happen. And releasing your feet, hug knees in once more. We're going to take an inversion here. Since we're already on our backs, I'm going to talk you through a shoulder stand. If you are really keen to get into your handstand, headstand, forearm balance, by all means, go ahead if you can do safely. Otherwise, if you're going for your headstand, your shoulder stand, we'll start in a plow pose, so feet come overhead. If you can, have the toes touch. Going for your headstand, your shoulder stand, we'll start in a plow pose, so feet come overhead. If you can, have the toes touch the stand. We'll start in a plow pose, so feet come overhead. If you can, have the toes touching the floor. If you need to, you can bend the knees in. Hands come to your lower back. And you want to take most of the weight here in the upper arm bones. So slowly start to lift the feet up towards the ceiling. Maybe the hands walk further up the back until your toes are right up above you. In this inversion. It's a great way to end the practice. Even though we moved quite slowly today, we worked our legs pretty hard. So enjoy getting them up high. Sending them a little bit of love. Shoulder standers, start to bend the knees, bring them down either to your forehead or all the way towards your ears. Pausing here. Maybe stretch the arms out along the mat and use them as breaks if you need to slowly, with control, use those core muscles that we've switched on to roll yourself out of the pose. So no crash landings here. Take it nice and slowly until you make it all the way to lying on your back. Let your left leg go straight out along the mat, hug your right knee in. Let your right knee fall towards the left. Open your right arm towards the right for your supine twist. Again, trying to keep the shoulders relaxed on the mat here. Gaze might be over the right hand. And come back through center, swapping sides, hug the left knee in, give it a nice big squeeze. You might even shift the hips slightly towards the left. Let the left knee fall towards the right. Open the left arm towards the left, gaze over those left fingers. Really trying to focus on breathing deeply just for these final few moments of practice. Come back to center and straight into your final rest. Shavasana, flat out on your mat, palms face the ceiling. Let the feet fall open and close down the eyes. Allow your body to come to complete stillness. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth and just let it go. Do that again. Big breath in. And just let it go. Bring some movement to your fingers and your toes. Reach your arms up overhead. Take a full body stretch. Roll onto your right side into a fetal position, pausing there. And with little effort, little movement, come up to a seated or a kneeling position. Hands together at heart center and your eyes closed. Taking a moment to think of or bring to mind something or someone that you're grateful for right now. Allow that thought of gratitude, that practice of gratitude to fill your whole body. Maybe even fill the rest of your day. Lift your thumb knuckles up to your forehead center. And together we bow forwards and say, Namaste. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the class a little bit slower than normal, but hopefully you got a bit warm. I definitely did. As always, let me know any questions you might have, any requests or feedback in general. I'm always very happy to hear it. Otherwise, I'm back online. I'm doing Thursday lunch, but also this week I'm going to do tomorrow evening. So would love to see some of you there. Otherwise, have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much.